this is Sara with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make this fun and chunky Christmassy holiday elf hat. The entire pattern, including the little feather, is all stitched using 2 strands of worsted weight number 4. And this is all done in Red Heart Super Saver. And the red one is done in Red Heart Soft. The white and the red, and you can see it's the same pattern. The only thing I did different was instead of making a stripe, I went ahead and did it entirely in red, and then the band here I did in white. Then I added a pom-pom for fun. So this pattern is really, really versatile, and it whips up really quick because you're using 2 strands. We're going to be using an end hook 9mm today, and this is a nice big fat chunky hook, so it will move along really quickly. You're also going to need a big needle with a nice big eye in order to sew on your feather and to weave in your ends, and of course you'll need a pair of scissors. The yarn that we're going to be using for our demonstration today is Red Heart Shimmer, and this is some that I had on hand, and I thought it would be fun to make the elf style hat, this one here with the stripes, the stripe I should say. We're going to make the hat in pink, we're going to make the stripe in this purple, and then we're going to make the little feather in this teal. We're going to be using 2 strands, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but this Red Heart Shimmer has shimmer going through it. Like the pink one has a little bit of pink going through it in a shimmer, the purple and the teal, all 3 do. And this is going to make a fun hat. And it's still going to look like an elf, only it's going to have some bright colors that maybe a girl would like. Although a girl can wear any color hat, just like a guy. So grab you some yarn. Now before you do that, let me tell you how much you need. You're going to need about 3 ounces. And that's because we're using 2 strands when we crochet. Don't panic. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. So get your end hook and some yarn, and we'll get started. Are you ready to get started? Well, to begin with, I do want to let you know this is a free pattern on my blog. We released the pattern last week, and so today we're doing the video. And we are going to be using 2 strands together. Now, I do want you to know that you can use any worsted weight number 4 using 2 strands, or you could use a chunky number 5 or even a chunky number 6, although it would be a little bit bigger, using 1 strand. So I thought I'd put that out there. That's what makes this pattern so versatile, is you can use just about any yarn and your end hook. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be starting at the top of the hat, up at this point, and we're going to be working down this way. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. So we're making our slip knot. Now, in order to chain or work with 2 strands, it's real important that you keep them together. And what I do is as I'm working along, I just sort of pull them like this, just gently, just to make sure they're together. I have had trouble sometimes dropping one, and then you got to go back and find it, or they're not held closely together and you get a loop. Don't panic, just undo it and fix it. It's not the end of the world, but it's best to try to just, like I said, to just kind of pull them together. You stitch exactly the same. We're just going to be using 2 strands. All right, so let's go ahead and make our chain 4. All right, so we're going to begin stitching in the, let's see, 5 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. And the reason we're doing that is we want our first 3 chains to count as our first double crochet. And we want a total of 6 double crochets. So we're going to make a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, this is our 4th one. And we're going to have a total of 6, so we need to make 4 more. Now, in case you don't know how to do a double crochet, this whole pattern just about is all stitched in double crochet. So yarn over, go in the chain or stitch that you're working, and pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Now we have 2 loops in each section because we're using 2 strands. We're going to yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. I missed one. There we go. Yarn over, go through the second 2 loops. And that's another thing that can happen, so you have to be very careful. And see, I'm kind of gently pulling on my yarns, keeping them together. And once you get the hang of stitching with 2 strands, it'll just be second nature to you. Just pay attention and make sure. See, look at that. That's what can happen. We need to grab both those. There we go. Let's count. Here's our chain 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 1 more double crochet. All right. Now I've got pull out a little more yarn there. And now we're going to join to the top of that chain 3. And this seems kind of small, but we want it to have a little bit of a point at the top of this hat, so it looks elfish. So we're joining with a slip stitch, and we're chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, for row 2, we've chained 3. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. Then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next double crochet. Then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. So there's 1 and 2. Then 1 double crochet in the next. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets in the last 2 double crochets. And this will give us a total of 10 double crochets. Get in there. All right, 1. Pull my yarn out a little bit. Get that out of the way. And there's 2. And then we're going to join to the top of this chain 3. There we go. Oops, get both our threads with a slip stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So we went from 6 double crochets to 10 double crochets. All right, I got that yarn knot pulled out. And let's go ahead and get started on row 3. Now for row 3, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets excuse me, in each stitch around. And this is going to take us from 10 double crochets to 20. So 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. And then we'll join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then we'll chain 3. All right, so we finished our 3rd row, and we joined to the top of our chain 3, and then we chained 3. Now for row 4, we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we're only going to place 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we're going to repeat 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next. And we're going to do this all the way around. 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And we'll do this all the way around. And then when we get back around, we'll join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Whoops, there we go. 1 double crochet in the next. Now for row 4, you should have had 30 double crochets, and you can see we've got a little point, and now we're working down the hat. For row 5, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, Get in there. Sometimes I just don't want to do that. Make sure you're pulling and keeping your 2 yarns together. And then we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and then we're going to place 2 double crochets, 1, 2 in the next stitch. And this is the pattern that will follow all the way around row 5. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And this will bring us up to a total of 40 stitches. So we did 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. Then we did 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochets in the next, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. So it's 2, 1 in each double crochet, and then 2 in the next. So it's 2 and 2. And we'll do this all the way around row 5. And then we'll join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then we'll chain 3 again. Now we finished row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this pattern has 2 sizes, and you can get that over at my blog. It's a free pattern on my blog. It's just called the Elf Hat. And we have a youth size that measures about 18 to 19 inches. And then we have the adult size, which measures about 20 to 22. And the reason I say about is because it's totally up to you how tight you stitch and how tight the yarn you're using is. So it's kind of an approximate. And so if we're going to be doing the youth size today, so what happens is after row 5, we go ahead and skip to row 7. If you're doing the adult size, you'll have 2 more rows of increase before you go to the next row. Or actually, it's 1 more row of increase, and then you go to R7. And then for the youth size, you go straight to R7. You're skipping row 6, basically. So I'm going to change my notes over, and we're going to go right over to R7. And basically, after 5 rows for the youth size, you're done increasing. For the adult size, you're going to have 6 rows of increase, and then R7 is a plain double crochet row, if that explains it better. So, one more time, the youth size, you have 5 rows of increase. The adult size, you have 6 rows of increase. And R7 is 1 row of double crochet, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet, because we're done doing any increases. So we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and then we're going to join to the first chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then we'll chain 3 again. So go all the way around your elf hat, stitching 1 double crochet and each double crochet around. So we did 1 row of double crochet all the way around, and then we're going to do that again. For R8, we're going to stitch 1 row of double crochet all the way around. Now, if we were doing the adult size, you would do an additional row for row 9, but we're going to skip row 9 just to make it a little shorter. For the youth size, you'll do 2 rows of double crochet. For the adult size, you'll do 3 rows. And then we're going to change colors to put our stripe in. And I'll show you how to do that. But first we're going to do 1 more row, chain 3, and then 1 more row of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around for the youth size. And if you're doing the adult size, you're going to need to do 2 more rows for a total of 3 rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Let me say it again just to make sure I made sense and that it's clear. For the youth size, you'll do R7 and R8, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around for the youth size. For the adult size, you'll do R7, R8, and R9 as 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And so the adult size will have one more row of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 and then chain 3. Now, after row 8 for the youth size and after row 9 for the adult size, don't chain 3. We're going to chain 3 after we do our color change. Because if you chain 3 before, you'll end up with 1 stitch that's the pink instead of the different color of our color change. All right, so we're going to finish this row, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Then we're going to join to the top of the chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3 until after our color change. I finished my last row of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and I joined to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch. Now don't chain 3 here because, like I was saying, you'll end up with a chain 3 that's pink when we want it to be purple because we're changing colors. Or like on this elf hat, it's green. We don't want 1 green stitch, to show up. All right, so what we're going to do, now I'm going to leave my pink yarn attached. And I'm going to just let that trail in the back because we're going to be picking that back up to do the trim. If you're more comfortable clipping it and then weaving it in, you can. It's just one less thing that I have to weave in. So we're going to use these 2 strands of this lavender purple. And we're going to pull that in, just loop it over. Snug it down a little bit. And then we're going to chain 3. And like I said, the reason we chain 3 after is because we don't want a chain 3 of pink to be on our stripe. There we go. Snug that down a little bit. I'm going to pull that a little more to keep that down. All right. And for rows, let's see. We changed colors on row 10. And so row 10 and row 11, we're going to again place 1 double crochet in each double crochet around our hat, and this is giving us just our little stripe for fun. But you do not have to change colors. Like this red one, I did it exactly the same, only I didn't change colors at all. I kept it red until the band. But I'm showing you how to do it with the stripe of the original elf hat that I made. And so the truth is, you can stripe this whole thing. You can use variegated yarns. You can use 2 colors of yarn. You can use a red and a white and stitch the whole thing and make it look like peppermint. That's the neat thing about this particular hat pattern, is you can do it however you want in any colors that you want and pretty much just about any yarns that you want. Alrighty, so we're going to place 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. We're going to join to the top of the chain 3, and then we're going to chain 3 and stitch another row of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and that'll make our band of color 2 rows of double crochet. Now remember, at the end of your second row of purple or whichever color you're using for your stripe, don't chain 3. A little snag there. Don't chain 3 at the end of the second row of color, because again we're going to be changing back to our main color, and we don't want a purple stitch or whichever color stitch in that last row. So we're stitching 2 rows of 1 double crochet in each stitch around for our band on our elf hat. So now you can see that I have finished my 2 rows of purple in my stripe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off my yarn, leaving me enough to weave in later. And then I'm going to grab that pink yarn that I left hanging there. Now, if you cut yours, go ahead and work yours back in the same way. Just bring up a loop and chain 3. 1, oops, get in there. 1, 2, 3. Now I need to snug that down a little bit. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this in a little knot to hold it for now, just so it stays in place, and then I'll weave that in later. Just like a stay stitch. Okay, now what we're going to do is we changed back to our main color that we had up here, and we're going to stitch another row of just 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And then after we complete this row, we're going to do some front post stitches. And if you've never done one, don't panic. It's really easy, and it's a great way to trim off a hat, make a nice hat band at the bottom. So, again, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. All right, so we've done one more row of double crochet. And isn't that the cutest thing already? Now what we're going to do next is we're going to chain 3, because we joined and chained 3. And then we're going to begin our front post stitches. And the way we're going to do this is, if you look at your stitches, this particular part of your stitch is your post. Usually we stitch up here in the braids, but we're going to be stitching around the post for every other stitch. So our first stitch is our chain 3, counts as our first double crochet. So now we're going to wrap over our yarn over our hook. We're going to go around the post and pull up a loop, and then we finish off our double crochet the same way. Then the next stitch, we're going to stitch a regular double crochet in the top of the stitch. And then the next stitch, we're going to do the front post double crochet again, wrap over, go around the post, yarn over, and then you finish off exactly the same as a regular double crochet. So basically you're double crocheting around the front post. Around the front post, pull up your loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, just like we do a regular double crochet. And this is what's giving us this texture stitch that gives us our neat band. So what we'll be doing is a regular double crochet and then a front post double crochet, a regular double crochet, and then a front post double crochet all the way around our hat. So we're going to do the front post double crochet, and then we're going to do a regular double crochet. And we're going to continue doing this, 1 regular double crochet, and then a front post double crochet all the way around this row. Then when we get to the end, we'll join exactly the same to the top of the first chain 3, and then we'll chain 3. So again, 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, and then a front post double crochet in the next double crochet. So you can see I did my row, double crochet, front post, double crochet, front post all the way around. Then I joined with my slip stitch and I chained 3. And you're going to do this next row exactly the same as we did the last row. And you're going to put your front post double crochet around the front post of the previous row. And then you'll stitch your double crochet in the next stitch. There we go. And then front post in the next front post. And double crochet in the next stitch. And we'll continue to do this all the way around. And then when we get back to the beginning, we're going to join and tie off. And then we'll be finished. And I'll show you how to make the leaf. Now the leaf is optional. You can add a pom-pom, or you can add a fuzzy top, or you don't need anything. And you don't even have to put the leaf on if you don't want to. It's just a fun little addition. If you're making this for a little girl, you could add a flower or a bow. Whatever you want to do to make this fun elf hat personal. All right, so I'm stitching 1 double crochet in the double crochets and the front post stitch in the front post stitches. And I absolutely love this yarn. It's stitching up beautifully. It's so pretty and sparkly and shiny. Red Heart Shimmer. All right, so 1 double crochet in each double crochet and 1 front post double crochet in each front post double crochet, and you can see it makes a wonderful band for the edge of our hat. I join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to cut that, leave myself some excuse me, leave myself some to tie off. And I like to go from underneath that last stitch and pull that underneath, and I think it helps it be a little bit more visible. Now we do have some stitches, some yarns here to weave in, but we'll get those in a little bit. And what I do is I just sort of tack it down out of the way. And here's the front of our hat. Is that not just adorable? I love the point. It's so much fun. But now I'm going to show you how to make the little leaf, and we're going to use this teal shimmer. And the way you make the little leaf is with 2 strands and your end hook. You're going to chain 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roll it out a little bit. 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have chained 10. We're going to place 1 double crochet and the second chain from the hook. Here's the first chain, here's the second chain. So we're going to place 1 double crochet and the second chain from the hook. And then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2 chains. That gives us a total of 3 double crochets. Then we're going to stitch a half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And a half double crochet is over your hook, go through the stitch or chain and pull up a loop. You've got 3 on there, just like you do with double crochet, only you yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops. It makes a shorter, more condensed stitch. Three half double crochets. Then in the last 3 we're going to stitch a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to turn and we're going to work back down this chain that we started with, and we're going to place a single crochet, get around that string there. There we go. In the first 3, so that we're single crocheting and single crochets. 2, 3. And then we're going to place a half double crochet in the next 3 stitches, or the next 3 chains, so that our half double crochets are with our half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Starting to look like a leaf. Then we're going to stitch a double crochet in each of the last 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to tie off, and we're going to leave ourselves a little bit so that we can sew it on our hat. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and tie that off. And we need to go ahead and weave in this end before we tie that onto our hat. And so I've got my great big eye needle. Put those ends through. And I'm just going to push those down right through the center of my leaf, and then cut that off. And there's our leaf right there. Now here's our hat, and the leaf just goes right on the edge. To sew on your leaf, thread the ends onto your big needle and place it where you want it. Now I want my back to the back, and I want it over to the side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it like this. And then I'm going to stitch down through the back. And then I'm going to come up through the middle. I'm going to make a little loop right through there, like that. And then I don't want it to like lay flat. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch up through the center seam of the leaf. Just make a few stitches like that. And just go right back through, just so it stays put. And then we'll go to the underneath side and weave that in. Just make a few loop stitches. There we go. And then we'll cut that off. And now there's our leaf. And it's going to kind of sit up. That's kind of the way I like it. And I just want to show you in comparison to the green one, the size difference. Here's the green one and here's the pink one. And so you can see there's quite a bit of difference in size. And also this yarn was a little bit thinner, even though it was a worsted weight 4. And so it came out quite a bit smaller, and I like that, you know, for sizing. Now these are perfect for family holiday photos, Christmas cards. They're perfect. But they're also great because they're warm, because it's a double-stranded yarn, or you make it with a chunky 5 or 6. And so they're just perfect. You can leave the leaf off and it's just a beanie with a little point. You can make it all one color like this one, except for the band and make a pom-pom to go on it. So this pattern is really perfect and versatile and so much fun to make. Like I said, it's a free pattern on my blog. Comes in 2 sizes. Go get the pattern, get you some yarn, and make a bunch.